first topic was the qualities of the sadhaka that we saw. One part was completed. Then we went to Tattva Viveka. I'll just read those lines. Then I'll go to the section that we need to see today. So I'm just reading it. Tattva Viveka kaha Atma Satyam Tadanyat Sarvam Mityeti Atma kaha Sthula Sukshma Karana Sharirad Vyatiriktaha Panchakoshatītas san avasthatraya sakshi Satchidananda Swarupas san Yaha tishtati sa Atma Sthula Shariram kim Panchīkrita Panchamahabhūtaihi kritam Satkarmajanyam Sukha-dukkhaadi bhogayatanam shariram asti jayate vardhate viparinamate apakshiyate vinashyatiti षड्विकार vadetat sthula shariram. That was about sthula shariram. Next is about Sukshma Shariram. Sukshma Shariram kim apanchīkrita panchamahabhūtaihi kritam satkarmajanyam sukha dukkhādi bhoga sadhanam pancha jnānendriyāni pancha karmendriyāni pancha prānādayah manaschaikam buddhischaiká evam sapta dashākalābhihi saha yaha tishtati tat sukshma shariram. We saw that. Now, in Sukshma Sharira itself, we said that it is made up of 5 Jnanendriyas, 5 Karmendriyas, 5 Pranas, and then the Buddhi and the Manas was given. Now, we saw about the Jnanendriyas, Karmendriyas, and now the Pranas and about the Manas Buddhi, Antakaranā as we say it, that is not given here in this text. But still we will go through it because we need to know what are these components. So it also helps us to realize, oh, this is the component of the buddhi, this is the component of the manas. So how to control it? For that we will need to know some knowledge. So we will just go through as the text because that is not covered here. So after we do the pranas and the antakaranam, these two things we will cover on our own. Then we will go to the Karana Sharira. So we said that there are 5 pranas. So what are the 5 pranas? Prana, Apana, Vyana, Samana and Udana. So the prana is what governs the intake, inspiration, propulsion, forward momentum. That is known as prana. That is also a component of the prana. That is the 5 components. One component itself is called again the prana. The other component is known as the apana, which governs the elimination, downward, outward movement. So that is known as apana. And then samana. Samana means it governs assimilation, inner absorption, consolidation. That is known as a samana vayu. Then udana. That means what? It controls the speech, expression, ascension, upward movement. All that is controlled by this udana vayu. Then you have the Vyana. Vyana means it governs the circulation on all levels, expansiveness, pervasiveness. So these are the 5 pranas that operate in our body and it is needed. All these 5 pranas are needed to keep it in proper balance. Why prana is important is because prana acts as a intermediary between the sthula and the sukshma sharira. That is in the sense that it is a in between our mind and the outer, the body, because once you control your prana, you will also be able to control your mind. So through the yogic practices, you need not focus on mind control. You can focus on prana, which in turn will control your mind. So that is why the prana is very important, how you breathe. So these practices are important and each prana does a certain thing and it is controlled in a certain way. So that's why we need to know what these pranas are. Now, what we call in the Sukshma Sharira, so one component was Jnanendriyas, one component was Karmendriyas, one component was the pranas that we saw. Another component is known as the Antakaranā. Antakaranā, what we club together as the mind, the buddhi, the chitta and ahankara. Many texts, the chitta and ahankara will be eliminated, keeping a total of 17 entities in the Sukshma Sharira. In the subtle, there is only 17, but sometimes people add the 90. So we'll see all the 19 here. So one is the mind, manas. So what does the mind actually do? What is the mind responsible for? We will see that. Mind is responsible for thoughts. So the thoughts that come in your mind are because of the manas component. Mind is also responsible for imagination, creating mental images, scenarios, fantasies. So whatever is not present in the reality, it can visualize. So that's also a function of the manas. Then emotion. Emotion is also experienced in the manas. moods, feelings, all this which we say is a component of the activity of the manas. Then willpower. So the mind exercises control over impulses and desires. So this is also a function of the manas. The willpower where we can develop in the mind. And intuition. So sometimes we say, okay, I feel like doing this, and instincts. All this also is coming from manas. Then reflection. So mind engages in introspection and contemplation. So if you give mind the lower level thoughts, it will go in the lower level ways. But if you give higher level thoughts, that's why when you read all these scriptures, when you have those thoughts, it will engage in introspection and contemplation. So you will go and analyze yourself. You will introspect yourself. Then you will contemplate. So these are also the capabilities of the mind, but we have to put it into use. So this is the functions of the mind. Now buddhi. Buddhi, what does it do? Discrimination. Buddhi has to discriminate. This is good, this is bad. That it has a power. But the correct knowledge is to be given to the buddhi. Buddhi will not function on its own. So you have to give the right knowledge. What is a good use of my time? Is it engaging in all these, TV serials, or is it to read some scriptural book? So if you give it a right knowledge, then it will be able to discriminate. Then judgment. So it can do a judgment, evaluate the situation. And again, the buddhi has to be fed the correct information. That is why right information is needed for the buddhi. Then determination. So the buddhi will also have this resolve. Where does this resolve come from? Okay, today I am not going to eat, I am going to fast. This resolve is coming in the buddhi, because the buddhi is given the correct information. So this resolve is coming from the determination is coming in the buddhi. And then contemplation. So the buddhi will also have the reflective power, and it can understand the deeper truths. So this is also a part of the buddhi's function. Then we call what is known as the chitta. Chitta is basically memory. It is a storehouse of all the memories and impressions which are known as samskaras. So everything in the past life is stored. Everything in this life is also stored as memories. And it is also responsible for imagination. Chitta can also create mental images and fantasies. Then subconscious. So chitta holds latent tendencies and inclinations that shape an individual's personality. So we see there are some prodigies, so they come and they do it. Like, how do they do it? Because in their subconscious, all these things are already stored. So if somebody becomes a great chess player, he may have done this in the past births. When he's 5 years old, he is able to suddenly take the chessboard and play fantastic games. So that's coming from stored tendencies. So that's why we should correct ourselves and store the right tendencies. Then perception. Chitta is also involved in perceiving and interpreting sensory information from the external world. So it forms some perceptions. So it sees something and says, oh, I perceive danger. So this is also coming from previous impressions. So that is also there. And impression vasana that we have seen. So vasanas are stored in the chitta. It leaves the impressions there, and these impressions are retrieved, and actions that we do now are based on the previous stored vasanas most of the time. So this is the nature of the chitta. Now ahamkara, this is also a component of the sukshma sharira or the antakarana inside the sukshma sharira. So what does the ahankara do? It will form an identity. This is me, this is myself, this is my individual. Like that it will form an identity. And then it will deal with possessiveness. Ahamkara will say a feeling of ownership. This is mine, this is me, this is mine. They are mine. Relationships, achievements, possessions, all this is coming from the ahankara, the ego. And then pride and ego. Ahamkara can lead to feelings of pride and arrogance, influencing one's behavior and interaction with others. So this is also a function of the ahamkara. Then self-protection. Ahamkara works to protect one's self-esteem and maintain a positive self-image, often leading to defensive behavior. This also the ahamkara can do. Motivation and ambition. Ahankara fuels a desire for success, recognition and accomplishment, driving one's ambition and efforts. So these are all the functions of the 4 Antakaranas, which are very important. If we study them, we know, oh, this is what is happening to me in the mind, in the buddhi, in the ahankara, in the chitta. And we find ways to correct it as we go by purifying. That is known as purification of the mind. Basically, when you have everything in check in the Antakarana. So this is for today.